Today's podcast is brought to you by ELIC. Listen, if there's one thing you know, I love knowing that hope is getting slung to humans, not just here in America, not just in Great Britain, but all over the planet. And so listen, there is an organization called ELIC that's dedicated to slinging hope and equipping people by sending people to teach English in a lot of unreached areas. All right. They provide training, support, and a team of passionate people who are ready to make a difference. So listen, if you're a college student, a recent graduate, or like someone that's fitty like me and's got a little bit of time, ELIC has a program for you. For example, they've got a 2 to 6 week program, right? So like you can go 2 weeks, you can go 6 weeks. It's an option in the summer that's perfect for college students or recent graduates. Or, I don't know, if you got 2 to 6 weeks in the summer, it's perfect for you. If you're ready to create hope with a global impact, I need you to visit elic.org/human hope. Now, this is what I want you to do. Even if you're just kind of like, I don't know if this is for me, all y'all right now, it helps me and it's going to help not only you, but people around the world. Go visit elic.org/human hope. So, Human Hope Familia, I've got Paula Faris herself with her blue hoodie that says Jesus loves you, and then I think she's got a water bottle in one hand and coffee in the other hand. Paula, say hi to the Human Hope family.
Hello, Human Hope family. And I would have my soda can in my third hand, but I don't have a third hand. But
so wait a second. So
I love beverages.
So, you do. You just love beverages in general.
Well, I just think it's like any busy mom at any time has like 7 different bottles, cans, mugs on their desk, right?
Yes.
And we have to take all of them with us in the car too.
Yes. You know, on I don't know if it was Ocean's 11, Brad Pitt, I think it's a thing where in every scene he's in, he's eating something. I think that's a thing. And so are you telling me that if there was a movie of your life, your thing would be you would be drinking something in every scene that you're in?
I'm really thirsty all the time. And I don't know if it's because I'm getting older or what, but I'm parched. I wake up in the middle of the night. I'm at that stage of life where I have water bottles by my bed too, because I'm always thirsty.
Oh my gosh, it's me too. I do like I was in a hotel last night, and I go and I make sure that I fill up a little water bottle, put it next to my bed, just in case I wake up at 3 a.m. and I'm like, no, I just need a little soothing in my mouth.
Yes, just in case. Yeah. I mean, I feel like I wake up a solid 3 to 4 times in the middle of the night.
And there's no just in case anymore.
No, that has come with advanced age. Yeah. So it's the gift that keeps on giving.
I love it. I'm appreciative that you're drinking all of your beverages on the show. So listen, if you are watching on YouTube, you get to actually see Paula drinking her beverages. But if you're just listening, just trust me, she is. And what's on the shirt here? What do we got going on here?
It says Jesus loves you, which my teenage daughter wanted this sweatshirt for Christmas, and it's been out of stock, and so it just returned to inventory, and so I ordered like 7 of them. It says Jesus loves you, love people, be genuine, and don't stop. Basically, don't be a jerk. Don't be a jerk. Yes.
Oh my God. We can do an entire podcast episode on that. Don't be a jerk. Listen.
Yep. I'm telling you.
Well, you know, I mean, that could be part of the podcast because we are talking about, you're in my parenting series, Paula. Like when I asked you to be on the podcast, it was the parenting series. And what was the first thing you said when you saw me?
Well, you want me on a parenting series, Carlos, which is weird because did you know that I'm a terrible parent? Like me? Come on, I did. Really?
You are not. You are not. Whatever. I watch you on Instagram. You're the perfect parent.
No, I am not a perfect parent. And that's the thing. Like, I trust me, my kids know that like my kid, my youngest did something for me today. He goes, I just don't want you to be mad today, mommy. So I just want to throw that out there. I love my kids fiercely.
Yes, there it is.
I am not a perfect parent, and my children are not perfect children. And guess what?
Right.
perfection is unattainable. And if you strive for perfectionism in parenting, in relationships, you're going to disappoint yourself. So I am thriving in the mediocrity of parenting.
Let's go. Let's thrive in that. All of us need to get to that point where we are thriving in that. Why don't you just go ahead and start and unpack your family for us? Give us a little,
for sure.
Give us a little overview of what the household looks like.
Sure. I have a high schooler, a middle schooler, and an elementary schooler. So my kids are spread out in age right now, which means I'm driving all the time. So my oldest is almost 16. So I have a daughter and 2 boys. So Caroline is almost 16. JJ is almost 14 and Landon is 9. So they're going into 10th grade, 8th grade, and 4th grade. So a little all over the place, but it is beautiful chaos. What's crazy, we live in South Carolina now, and you guys are in Tennessee. I don't know what the driving restrictions and requirements are like in Tennessee, but we moved. I'm a Midwestern kid, born and raised. Shout out to Michigan. Met and married my college sweetheart. We met at a small school in Ohio. He's from Indiana, lived in Chicago. Then we moved to New York, and I was working at ABC News and Good Morning America. So we blew up our lives and moved to South Carolina at the beginning of the pandemic. Okay, just needed a hard reset.
Yes.
Did not know. Now I love the South. But you can basically drive at 3 years old here.
Yeah.
So my daughter is 15 and a half and driving by herself with a restricted license.
Oh my, wait. Wait.
Yes.
You're telling me in South Carolina, you can be 15 and a half years old and solo in the car.
Solo. She can even pick up a sibling. Now, there are certain restrictions. You're not supposed to drive at dark, but my daughter's like, nobody cares about that, Mom. And I'm like, I do. Okay. But in South Dakota, so I thought this was really weird because I didn't really start driving till I was a junior in high school in Michigan. And I was also young for my grade. Right. But South Dakota must be something about the South states. South Dakota, South Carolina, South Dakota, you could drive with a restricted license at 14 and a half.
What? I don't believe this.
I swear I saw it. The internet doesn't lie, Carlos.
No, it doesn't.
The internet told me that you can be 14 and a half and have a restricted license. Are you Googling it right now?
I literally right now, I'm looking it up, and you are completely right. That is obscene. I know that you literally can do that at 14. Oh my gosh.
But think about it.
In Australia, my pastors told me this. In Australia, they literally don't let you drive until you're 17 and a half.
Wow, not even behind the wheel with a driver's permit?
Nope, 17. And then even at 18, there you have a different colored license plate, so everybody knows that you've only been driving for it's crazy. That's crazy.
That's actually really smart because I tried to put one of those flaming yellow caution new driver stickers on my daughter's car, and she's like, "No, Mom, but to have a different colored license plate, that's actually really smart."
But I like that.
But if you think about it, I mean, kids have been operating equipment on the farms, agriculturally, since they were real young. My kids are all pretty proficient on a golf cart. Yeah. So naturally they can drive.
Naturally. I mean, let's be honest. South Dakota, they're probably on tractors, when they're 8 years old, baling hay already. So what's a car?
Yeah.
I love it.
And that's why they needed these kids to be able to get back to the farm and help out. Because I need my kid to come back to the farm, right? And help out at home. So
that's what you need. I love it. I love it. Okay, so we got the ages of the kids here.
Yes.
And let's do this. So for the Human Hope listener that's listening right now, and they're like, okay, Carlos, why exactly did you bring Paula on here? Besides, both of you are.
It's a good question. I don't know.
How old your kids are? Well, no. This is one of the reasons why. Mm-hmm. Well, because I love that you have this family structure and dynamic that you coexist in being a mom and the chaos of everything, driving everyone around, all these things. But you're also running a company. You're also writing books. You're also hosting your own podcast. You're also doing things that, you're not just staying at home with the kids. You're not just, which isn't bad. There's a lot of people that feel called to do that, right?
Totally.
But where I wanted to go in this conversation is I have a lot of my listeners that, I mean, literally, I will get emails going like, I don't even like to tell people what I do because immediately they're going to judge me. So before we even start to where you're at now, take us back to what you were doing in your career, in your life, when you first decided to have a family, and kind of what that looked like and what you were doing.
I was working in media, and
you were.
Yes, I was working in television news and TV. It's kind of like coaching. You work your way up from the Pee Wee League, and then you coach your high school, and then college, and then the pinnacle is the NFL. So so that's what I was doing. I was building my career in television news. Started at the bottom. Started as a PA making $7 an hour, and worked my way up in different markets: Dayton, Cincinnati, Ohio, Chicago, and then New York, and was anchoring Good Morning America weekends, and then I co-hosted The View, but worked my butt off. But I always carried that tension, Carlos, always as a mother who also has a job in the workplace. Working moms, all moms work, we know that. But the tension I carried as a working mom was, is that my role? To work? Shouldn't I be home raising the children? That's what certainly the constructs that I grew up in, and in the faith circles, which did a really proficient job of telling me what my role was. And that was literally the main tension that I carried. And I was like, is this tension coming from like my head or my heart? Is it real? And I pumped the brakes in 2018. I was real burnt out. This is at the so-called height of my career, when I was anchoring GMA, Good Morning America, and I was co-hosting The View, and I really felt God just saying, you need to pump the brakes, because I do think like the workplace isn't set up it's not set up for parents, for mothers to thrive, and being a working mom just doesn't work. And so part of that was like, okay, so maybe that is like, maybe we're not supposed to do both at the same time, right? So I pumped the brakes in 2018, stepped into a much less prestigious position at ABC News. I was just a general correspondent. So it's like demoting yourself from the head coach to like the video coordinator. You're still on the roster, But I really felt like that's what I was supposed to do. And then I mommed hard, and then I lost my job in 2020, like a lot of other moms. And so like the pendulum swung to the other side. I let go of our babysitter. So like it's the first time I'd ever had to mom without a childcare safety net. We moved to South Carolina, starting over, and like trying to navigate, like I went from one side to the other, and I realized like, as long as I'm whether my identity is in motherhood or my identity is in my job, it's in the wrong thing, right? I don't put your identity in something that's going to shift and shake. But this, we're not set up in society as mothers. We don't have a realistic measuring stick of what it means to be a working mom. And so when we moved down here, I really I lost my job. I didn't know what I was going to do next, and I've had a heart for a long time for mothers in the workplace because of the tension that I carried, because of the marginalization of mothers. Let's just be honest. Motherhood is not celebrated in this country. It's from a very tactical, practical, factual standpoint, once you become a mother, you're paid less, you're passed over on promotions, and you're scrutinized. So motherhood's not celebrated. And there's something called the motherhood tax and the motherhood penalties. So I was like, does God want me to do something about this? Or do I get back into TV news? Because that would be the safe choice. And so I decided to become a founder and an entrepreneur, which might be the dumbest thing I've ever done because I don't know anything about it and it keeps me up at night. But like, there's nothing I'd rather be doing.
My gosh.
So I formed CARRY Media. We want to carry the burdens of working moms because we know most moms have to work. Okay, that's just the reality. We don't have the privilege of staying home.
Absolutely.
But most moms have to work, and let's not demonize the ones that want to work.
Right.
But we also want to help carry the burdens of working moms, to make sure that the workplace works for moms, to make sure that motherhood isn't marginalized, to make sure that motherhood is celebrated. So we provide load lessening content. And so I formed CARRY a couple years ago, and here I am working from my home, in my basement. I understand that this is a privilege to do so, to have my children just 10 feet away. So I don't have to raise the level of my voice to that penetrating decibel, you know? But it's, you know, something God put on my heart, changed directions, pivoted, and I'm super fulfilled. Like I really, this is the season of calling. I love it. It's stressful, yes, but I really like at the end of the day, it's about strengthening families. Yeah. It's about supporting mothers in the workplace. Yes. Again, because most moms have to work, 70% will be the primary breadwinner. And we can unpack all of this. I mean, I just got into a huge discussion with my siblings and my mother over coffee the other day about the work that I'm doing. So,
Okay. So I am a fly sitting on the wall of your conversation with your sibling and your mother. And as much as you feel free to be able to share, what's the premise there? What's the premise of that conversation? What was huge about that conversation?
The premise is it's the woman's role to raise the children and stay home because they're more nurturing, and it's the man's job to provide and protect. That's the premise. Yeah. And
was it an argument or was it a...
No, it was a discussion. It was a discussion. But I'm like, really? I know that, okay, so if it's the man's job to protect and he's stronger, which I agree, like men I think are born wanting to protect, then why shouldn't they be the ones that are protecting the children and with them all the time? You know, so like I think so much of what we've learned is very generational from the 1950s and 60s. It's very generational too from the faith constructs. I dove into my new book, You Don't Have to Carry It, I'll Ditch the Mom Guilt and Find a Better Way Forward. I really unpacked this in chapter 5. So the book is about like how and why we can give working moms the support they need and deserve. And it's countless interviews, sociologists, historians, theologians, moms from all walks, thought leaders. I mean, I really dug into like, how do we get here? You know, because it's different in this country than really any other country. Raising a family is much more difficult here. Mom guilt doesn't really exist outside of the United States. Mothers here are carrying much more. So we're not only in the workforce more and carrying more of the paid labor, we're carrying the majority of the unpaid labor at home too. So we're burnout at record levels. So, but chapter 5 for me was like the hardest and most freeing chapter to write, because it's, what does scripture say about a woman's role, a mother's role in society and at work and home? And I interviewed Lisa Turkhurst from Proverbs 31 Ministries and her head of theology. Because when even my mom to this day, like, she's like, a woman's role, she's supposed to be there to raise the children. And she had a hard time with me working and being the primary breadwinner for some time. And honestly, that was hard for me too, because I knew, I was like, am I going against what God wants for me?
Sure.
Yeah. But realizing that, like, we were born, Adam and Eve, it says in Genesis 1 that we were born to subdue the earth together. That doesn't say that the woman stays home and cooks and clean and the man's off, doing his thing. We're subduing together. And the most traditional American families were producing together, laboring together, parenting together. It really wasn't until the 50s and the Industrial Revolution when we said, hey, dude, go get a job. And if you can't provide for this family, you're a loser. If you can't provide for this family, you're a failure. So we pushed men out of the home and we pushed women out of the workplace, thinking that would create these ideals. But even in the 50s, you look at the 50s, Carlos, what was good for part of the people, part of the time, let's go back to those, let's go back to that era, right? Well, guess what? Black people were forced out of the workforce and women were pretty much forced out of the workforce. And poverty, a third of the country was in poverty, and teen pregnancies were on the rise, and men came home with lipstick on their collars, but the women couldn't do anything about it because they couldn't get a job in the workforce. And if they did, they were paid, substantially less. So, it's like nostalgia gets us every time because we want that feeling, but we don't want the reality. But again, hearing what God says about it, the Proverbs 31 woman who we think about, oh, she was domestic. No, she was like a baddie. She was a manager, a negotiator. She was in the market every day. She bought a field with her earnings. Her community relied on her. She was the stability of the community. And so I feel like that doesn't sound like a domestic housewife to me. That sounds like somebody and I'm like, oh, so, okay, huh. I'm starting to hear all of these stories, biblical stories of women who worked, and we have demonized work in the Christian circles. And the best families are the families where you're both raising the children and where you're both working together. And that's why I think, I'm not just like everybody work. It's being a working parent should work. The workplace and society and culture should value you as a parent first, because parenting is one of the most important roles that in society. And we're not only creating the future generation and future labor force, which if we don't have a labor force, we cannot grow our economy. Okay. So we are an inherent part of the economy, but allow us to be a parent first. Don't force me to make a decision. So I being a working parent should work. Don't force me to compromise. I'm always going to choose my kids first, but realize I bring something really unique to the table. As a parent, it's grown my capacity in courage and vision and leadership and efficiency and empathy and emotional IQ. It's a masterclass for leadership, right? So it's like, take care of parents, take care of us. Don't force us out of the workforce. Most of us are working because we have to make sure it works for us. But again, getting back to the whole faith angle, work has very much been demonized for women. And the Christian circles, it's not just the Christian circles. You look at other traditions and cultures that really diminish the roles of women in society and at home. But I wanted to speak to my own experience. But I have friends that are Black hat Jewish or that are Muslim, and same things are happening in their community. And that's the tension that a lot of women are carrying today. It's generational, and it stems from the faith circles.
Our next partner is Athletic Greens. Y'all know since the beginning of this podcast, I've been taking AG1 by Athletic Greens literally every day. Why? Well, because I had a bad belly. Like, I went and got a colonoscopy. They wanted to put me on all of these like antacid stuff. And I'm like, no, wait a second. I think my gut is supposed to be making acid. Why would I want to take acid out of there? I heard that AG1 helped with the gut. And I'm not kidding you. I started putting that in my coffee or my water every single morning, and my gut got better. All my problems went away. And to go think I was going to start taking medicine, no. I started taking AG1. Okay. Take it in the morning. Now, you may be asking yourself, what in the world is AG1? Every single scoop or packet, single serving packet, is packed with 75 vitamins, minerals, and whole food sourced ingredients that give me major benefits. The gut support is huge. Okay. Boosted energy. And someone says that it actually helps your hair, but I don't have any, so I can't tell you. So if you are looking for an easier way to take supplements, Athletic Greens is giving you a free 1-year supply of vitamin D and 5 free travel packs, which I take everywhere. With your first purchase, go to athleticgreens.com/humanhope. That is athleticgreens.com/humanhope. Check it out. Y'all know how much I love Indeed, because Indeed helped me find Whitney from Wisconsin, which none of these podcasts you'd be listening to without Whitney from Wisconsin telling me, hey, have you recorded the intro and the outro yet? Hello? Yeah, because I got matched with Whitney. Whitney is my assistant. Whitney, I don't know what other job sites Whitney put her resume on, but I know that Indeed was where my management team found her. Okay? Is hiring a challenge? You need Indeed. You need a hiring partner that can help you rise to the challenge. Indeed is the hiring platform where you can attract, interview, and hire all in one place. All in one place. So instead of spending hours on multiple job sites searching for candidates with the right skills, Indeed is a powerful hiring platform that can help you do all of it. All of it. So it's unbelievably powerful, and it delivers 4 times more hires than, ready for this, all other job sites combined. Join more than 3 million businesses worldwide that use Indeed to hire great talent fast. Start hiring now with a $75 sponsored job credit to upgrade your job post at Indeed.com/humanhope. Offer good for a limited time. Claim your $75 credit now at Indeed.com/what? Humanhope. Just go to Indeed.com/humanhope and support the show by saying you heard about it on this podcast. Indeed.com/humanhope. Terms and conditions apply. Need to hire? You need Indeed. Where have you seen family and mothers working not demonized and done well around the world as you've studied this, as you've looked around? Are there pockets and cultures where it's like, oh my gosh, look what they're doing, that we're not doing here?
Almost everybody but America. It's like, what I realized too is studying, yes, parenting in other countries is difficult. Yes, they're dealing with war and famine and poverty.
Yeah.
But first of all, most parents are working globally because they have to. They don't have a choice, and they don't have a privilege to stay home. And that's the one thing I realized, that even staying home is a privilege. For me, to work from home is a privilege that most parents don't have. But they work, but they take a great amount of pride, Carlos, in working and helping to contribute to the house. So the guilt isn't there. And the support from society, the support from the policymakers. It's expected that you have a village, that you have a family member living with you to help you. It's expected that you ask your friends. Like, the support is there. So it's not a stress and a strain to have a child to the extent it is here in America.
Yeah.
The mentality in most countries is, I am my brother's keeper. And so what that says is, not only they value families, they value children, because they realize these children, whether or not they're theirs, are the next generation. They are the greatest natural resource of that country. And it is up to them to help nurture and foster these children into not just the labor force, but to be a good human being, right? So it's the attitudes and it's the policies. You might get, and I know this is controversial, and I've posted some stuff about, we had a subsidized childcare system after World War II called the Lanham Act, and we got it up and running in weeks. And I posted something about this recently, and people were like, I don't want the government. I get that. I totally understand that. But what about child care tax credits? We get maybe $500 here, and it's very much your kid, your problem. If you want to raise a kid here, it's your problem. Other countries, they have really substantial child care tax credits, Carlos. They have early education. So in a lot of countries, and especially Europe, starting at age 2, parents can be expected to pay max 25% of early education, if that. And what it's doing is it's investing in these kids. It's not just babysitting, they're actually learning. And most stay-at-home moms, as you would call them, I say slay-at-home moms. I think it's
slay-at-home moms.
Slay-at-home moms. My mother was a slay-at-home mom, so they're sending their children there too. So it's really interesting to see. I nerded out in chapter. Was it chapter 4, chapter 3, the history of American families, and how we got to this point, and how the most traditional American family wasn't the 50s and 60s. It was actually the family that worked on the farm, or they labored together, raised the children together. And to see this, I think what happened is after the war and the GIs came home, the women had been in the workforce. They had replaced those
been in
positions.
The factories,
and then most of them were like, I'm gonna, when the men come back home, I'm gonna leave. But they found so much fulfillment and really started to enjoy it. But the GIs came home, and the women were told that they were a menace if they had any aspirations outside of the home, and they thought that they were creating these really refined structures and roles, right? The men go to work and the women stay home. Okay. So conversely, after World War II in Europe, they had a much different response. Okay. They lost all of their men, right? Their men were also their labor force. So who did they turn to fuel the labor force and to resupply their population? Women. So they needed the women to have babies and repopulate, but they also needed them to work. And so they didn't necessarily do it out of moral fortitude. It was just necessity. They had to create policies, and they had to create a societal platform that allowed these women to have babies and return to the workplace without compromising who they were as mothers, right?
Wow.
And so it's so interesting, the two different reactions to World War II. And
that's fascinating.
People will say they're socialists, and not every country is socialist that has really good family, family care and child care policies. And again, dear God, are we going to just say we're about families, but not, because we say we're about families, but like, what the heck are we actually doing for families? Like, if you're going to be pro-life, let's be pro-life the whole life. Let's help families. It is a stress and strain to have children in this country. That's why we continue to have fewer and fewer children. And again, this impacts all of us, because the fewer kids we have, the more diminished our labor force becomes. And if we don't have a labor force, we cannot grow an economy. So
You say find a better way forward. A better way forward. What? Give us some examples, as a mom is listening to this right now, and she's like, okay, like maybe I'm hearing Paula, and I'm like, okay, I can see how I'm going to ditch some of this guilt. Like, I'm getting rid of it. Like, I've had it, but like, what is the way forward? Where are we heading? Like help us get there.
Yeah, for sure. I don't want this to be like Debbie Downer. As a journalist, you're like, you have to give the facts and peel the Band-Aid off. But I want people to know, like, there is a better way forward. I think we're moving in the right direction. This next generation gives me so much hope that there's not this, that the burden is not on the woman and the expectation to carry it all, to do it all. I think so many women, because we're burnt out, because we don't have a realistic measuring stick of what it means to be a working mom in this country. We feel lots of guilt. But I will say, for the mother who feels guilt, look, the majority of mothers are working today because they have to. Most will be the primary breadwinner. And your child, according to statistics, is better off because you're working. And the reason being, like, sons of working moms grow up to be better partners. And you start to see this already in this next generation, where the fathers are like, they're part of it, and I think, like, take your paternity leave, because that changes the dynamic from the beginning. The mother is not the default, and she's not expected to carry everything from the get-go, but your child's better off for you working, especially your sons. Okay. Like, your kids get to see, to like, for me, I have friends that really are investing in my children too. It's not normal, and mom guilt doesn't exist to the extent it in other countries. Most moms are working because they have to, and they take a lot of pride in it. It's very American. The guilt is very American, because we are expected to carry it all, to do it all with a smile on our face. We can't ask for help because we're weak or we're a failure. And it's up to us as moms to say, you know what, like, my kids are going to be just fine. They're going to be fine. So much of the guilt is it's generational, and it's internalized upon us. But your kids are going to be just fine. In fact, they're going to be better off. And like, you're bringing your skills that you learned from specifically from motherhood and parenting, whether the baby grew in your heart or your tummy, to the workplace. You are adding something to the workplace, but we do need the workplace to work for parents. It doesn't right now, and that's what we're fighting for at CARRY. Behind the scenes, we provide load lessening content for working moms, but like, we really
explain
want
that. Explain that you're providing. What is this content you're providing?
We have a weekly newsletter called the CARRY, which is a free resource. It's like tips. It's helpful. It's load lessening. It takes a load off of your plate, right? It's for working moms and by working moms, called the CARRY.
Love it.
And so we're building a strong, engaged audience of working moms. And then behind the scenes, we're working with corporations. I'm speaking at corporations to encourage them to invest in who I believe to be the top employee talent, which is moms. I mean, if you give a mom like 2 hours, like, she can get everything done. She's parents and mothers are like some of the most efficient, loyal, productive employees you can find, but you need to support them. And the workplace is changing. It needs to change. The hours, the structure is very archaic. Make the workplace work for mothers and for parents, because they comprise 70% of the workplace, but they're also going to be like literally one of the best employees that you can find. So take care of them.
I see how the workplace is changing, and how even more and more
the availability for moms to work and honestly do it remotely and stay at home. And there are a lot of things that are setting up. I do feel like are setting up moms to freaking take over like they should have, initially. I think, a lot of men that may be listening. Well, I don't have a lot of men that listen to my podcast, but the ones that do, the ones that do are probably like, let's be honest, like moms can figure out, how to do this.
Yes, we can.
You're solving problems all the time. Like
we're resourceful, which is crazy, but which is crazy why we're pushed out of the workplace.
Yes,
that's what's crazy. It's like, I think moms need a rebrand, Carlos, because there's the perception of mothers, and then there's the reality. The perception is we're counting Cheerios, we're a risk, we're a liability, we're not leaders anymore. The reality is, you want to know what the reality is? I was just equipped with capabilities I didn't have before I became a mom. I am efficient as heck. I am more empathetic scientifically. My capabilities, my capacity, my courage. I'm a better visionary and leader because of motherhood, not in spite of it. And most companies would rather work for a mom-led company. But like, we have to show there's a better way forward. And I'm seeing it already happen. But mothers, we need to be celebrated first and foremost instead of scrutinized. We should not. The expectation shouldn't be that if you want to move up in your career, you have to forsake your family. That's BS. Okay, let's just be honest. Like, celebrate that motherhood has made me an ideal employee. Okay. And realize you're going to have to, as companies, you have to start measuring the measurables, and those policies that you have changed and implemented to help value parents and mothers are going to be good for everybody on your roster. And at the end of the day, Carlos, it's not just parents that want flexible time, that want a 4-day work week, that want hybrid location. Like 95% of employees across the board want flex schedules. Almost 85% want hybrid locations. 4-day pilot weeks have become transformative for culture and mental health. People just want something different. In America, we live to work instead of working to live. We have it backwards. We're so materialistic. And this is a whole nother argument that I got into with my siblings. Well, if we didn't want so much, we wouldn't have to have 2 people working. Which I think to a degree there is that, but why is it always the mother that has to? There's nothing biblical, that says that the woman's role is in the kitchen. There's nothing. No. Okay, I mean, you look at all of there's so many powerful women in the Old Testament and the New Testament that God used. Yes, and women, we've gone from describing ourselves to like hardworking and industrious, but you see the generational twist. Now we're nurturers and we're broken and we're burnt out. It's very like the messages that we hear are very generational. And men, like, you guys are not impervious to your own set of toxic messages. Carlos, you're only good to this family if you can provide. And so men grow up with that too, thinking that I have to provide or I'm a failure. That's not biblical either. Yes, I think men, like, we were subduing the earth together and working together. Yes, I think men are wired to want to protect. I'm not sure. I feel like the providing, that's up for argument. I think that's what we've grown up with. That's the just expectation. So I guess I am wired that way, right? Like, I guess I am wired to stay home. No, that's maybe a societal message. So it's like, just really breaking down what's truth and what's not.
I have to confess something. My favorite 40-ounce Trek tumbler from Simple Modern, I let my son take it to camp and he lost it. So he had to order me another one. That's right. You've probably seen Simple Modern's 40-ounce Trek tumbler all over Instagram, or all over my Instagram for sure, because everybody's got it, right? They're the perfect tumbler for everything you need. And they're not as expensive as the one with the little logo on it that you're thinking. That's right. Fastest growing company, one of the fastest growing companies that's one of the top drinkware providers to Target, Walmart, and Amazon. That is Simple Modern. And check this out. As the weather starts to cool down, they've got great coffee drinking options and continue to have one of the hottest tumblers. That's right. The one that I'm drinking out of all the time. They also have an NFL license, so you can slap that football logo of your favorite team and either be depressed or excited every time you drink out of your mug or tumbler or whatever it is. And this is what I love about Simple Modern. The best part is they actually give 10% of their profits to nonprofits that are committed to fighting human trafficking, solving the water crisis, helping education, and ending homelessness. I love it. So I love my 40-ounce Trek tumbler that my son is going to get me because he lost mine. And I need you guys to go to www.simplemodern.com/human-hope. And by sharing your email, you'll get a unique discount code just for you, or bundle and save for back to school. This should be your go-to brand for your family. And let me just be honest with y'all. When you just take 15 seconds and type in www.simplemodern.com/human-hope, it helps me. You want to help me? I'm trying to help you. Visit simplemodern.com/human-hope. Y'all know my favorite brand of children's vitamins, and no, it's not the candy ones that we ate in the 80s shaped like cartoon characters. No, I want you to know that there are children's vitamins that are actually healthy for your kids. The rest of them are candy in disguise, most of them filled with 2 teaspoons of sugar, unhealthy chemicals, and all that gummy junk that your kids don't need. Hiya was created to solve the problem. It is a pediatrician-approved, super-powered chewable vitamin. Now listen, Hiya fills in the most common gaps in modern kids' diets to provide the full-body nourishment our kids need with that yummy taste that they love. It's formulated with the help of nutritional experts. Hiya is pressed with a blend of 12 organic fruits and veggies and then supercharged with 15 essential vitamins and minerals, including vitamin D, B12, C, zinc, folate, and so many more that help support immunity, energy, brain function, mood, concentration, teeth, bones. I don't know, maybe they'll even help your kids make the bed. No, that is not what they do, but they do so much. All right, so I've loved over the last year taking them myself, honestly, because they taste so good. I give them to my teenagers. That's right. And I need to let you know that also you can decorate the bottle with stickers that come with the first order. Come on. We have worked out a special deal with Hiya for their best-selling kids vitamin. Receive 50% off your first order. I mean, you got to just give that a shot, right? I mean, it's Darren was giving it to you. To claim this deal, you got to go to hiyahealth.com/human-hope. This deal is not available on the regular website. So go to hiyahealth.com/human-hope to get your kids the full body nourishment they need to grow into healthy adults.
Good night, Nurse Paula. I mean, just dropping them left and right. I mean, it's so good, you know, and it's actually here's the other thing that you probably run across. It's really uncomfortable for people to have this conversation because what it does, it's uncomfortable because it challenges absolutely everything that even maybe up to the point of hitting play on this podcast, there has been this is how it's always been. And suddenly hearing a conversation, hearing you say things like this really begin to, I mean, it could create chaos. Let's just call it for what it is. It could create chaos in not only the systems of a family structure that America has formed in, you know, since the 50s, since Leave It to Beaver was on the air, but it can create chaos and it is hopefully what you're trying to do is create chaos within the within the work structure, you know, with what the expectations are. And so for a mom that's listening to this right now, that's like, okay, I freaking am here and feeling the Shira rise inside of me. I'm feeling the Esther rise inside of me. I'm feeling this, but I don't know how to have this conversation with my mom, with my husband, because I do know that people are going to feel unleashed in great ways when they hear this talk. So help us with those steps. Like, how does somebody begin to have these conversations in safe and grace-filled ways, but saying, you know what, I am so much more than what I'm being given right now.
Yeah, and it's really, to be honest, it's so hard. And that's why I wrote the book. I love to advocate for people. Yeah. I am so passionate about advocating for mothers and for working moms, and that's why I wrote the book. And I want it's like equal parts helpful, hopeful. It's a hug and a sword. It is your manual. It is like a tool belt of tools that you can use and research and data that can back you up. And you're like, oh my gosh, that's why I was feeling the way I was feeling. I had so many moments in writing the book and interviewing experts and historians and sociologists. I was like, oh my gosh, I've had so many blind spots, but I found so much freedom in writing it. I would say, look, it is hard for women to advocate for themselves. It's why we don't ask for, it's one of the reasons, and I'm not going to put the onus on the marginalized person, which is the mother.
Sure.
We mothers make 70% of what fathers do. Women, mothers of color, make even less than that, Carlos, which is really sad. A lot of it is there's not pay transparency, but we don't ask. And again, it's not all our fault, okay? But men ask for raises 30 to 40% more. And when they ask like more often, and when they do ask, they ask for 30% more than women do. So it's like, why are we so uncomfortable advocating for our worth? It's just, it's really hard for women. And I think a lot of it is, it's that expectation, know your place, right? Know your place. This is what you're created to do. But like God has created, yes, my kids are my world. You know, they are my priority, but they're not my identity. You know, my children are not my job is not my identity. My identity is in Jesus. Okay, I'm a believer. And that's not going to shift and shake. But if I pour my identity into my kids when they're off in college, I'm not going to know who I am, and I'm not going to know who my husband is. If I pour my identity in my job, I'm not going to know who I am when my job changes. Like I've been on both sides of that spectrum of just totally falling and failing. And but I would just say, look, you are so much stronger than you think you are.
Yeah.
And you can carry it all, but you don't have to carry it all. You do not have to carry it all any longer. And know that, like, yes, you have superpowers now that you have become a mother, okay? But that doesn't mean that you need to carry every single thing. Something that's given me a lot of freedom is just to know every day I'm going to drop a ball. I tell my kids, mommy's not perfect, you're not perfect. I don't expect perfectionism from my kids. Every day I go into it knowing I'm going to drop a ball, Carlos.
Right.
I have a glass balls and I have plastic balls. So which one? I'm going to drop the plastic balls because they bounce. Glass ones shatter. Sure. And so it forces me to drop the perfectionism, to accept that something's going to fall through the cracks today, and that's okay. I'm going to let the plastic ones, because they're going to bounce, and you know what? Life's not going to stop. But I'm going to stop trying to put everything and everyone on my shoulders, okay? Yeah. Because yes, I can carry it all, but it gets real heavy, and it's real uncomfortable, and it's not good for me, and it's not good for anyone in this family. Ooh. But women, like, know your worth. Get uncomfortable advocating for it. Yes. Like especially mothers. Oh my gosh, you have been equipped with something that you didn't have before. Stand up, know that, like, the workplace is better with you in it, okay? But know your worth, advocate for it. And I think how we really transform the next generation too, not just making sure that there's more mothers at the decision-making table, but making sure that we're all reaching down. Women can be real hard on one another. Reaching down, grabbing another young woman or woman, whatever, bringing her up to the table and making sure she has a seat and a voice, okay? That you fought for, that's hard for you, but maybe that's what you do. You advocate for another woman, and you bring her to the table, and you make sure that she has a voice. But you can't fight for your worth if you don't know it. So I want to say, women, you bring something so unique and different. You bring an insight and value to society, to your homes, to the workplace that doesn't exist elsewhere. Women-led companies tend to be more profitable than male-led companies. This is not a case against men. It's like making it, and see, here I am already apologizing, making a case for women. This is making a case for mothers, not making a case against anybody. But the majority of mom-led companies are more profitable. More employees, regardless of their status, would rather work for a mother or women-led company because it tells them that they can dream big. But what... Excuse me. But what's missing, we got to invite other women to the table. We got to know our worth. We've got to advocate for it. And then we got to bring other women to the table. And sometimes the best doing is helping. So hold on.
Are you okay?
Other beverage.
Yeah, see? Other beverage. And we've got an editor. They'll cut it out.
Yeah, I know. And sometimes when we feel helpless and we're like, I have a hard time advocating for myself. Advocate for somebody else. Bring that other woman to the table. that can sometimes be the most powerful thing that we can do. Bring
And
the
that
other
can
woman
spark-
to the table. Yes, exactly.
Yes,
So.
and it'll spark, I think, the advocating for yourself. I'm
Absolutely
fired up.
does.
I wish I was a mom. I'm literally
I know.
like just fired up for the moms right now. There's so
Yeah.
many that need to hear this. And okay, so how can people sign up for your newsletter and get this
Yes.
wisdom every single freaking week?
Can I just say, though, that Carlos, you have one of the most important voices in gender equality. Men do, fathers do. It's this. And it might sound a little countercultural, but you're past this stage. But if you are a father and you're a man, take your paternity leave, all of it. And if you don't have it, fight for it. Because what it does, fight for paternity leave. I think paternity leave creates gender equality like nothing else. Because, well, first of all, we've seen what it does with the bonding of your child. It increases the bonds with your child. It mitigates postpartum maternal depression. So it increases and improves the relationship with your partner. But what it does is out of the gate, it says, we're in it together.
Yes.
It changes the dynamic. It levels the playing field. Guess who's not the she fault or the mom fault out of the gate, where she's expected to manage home, work, everything. And the man goes off back to work and he's celebrated for that, right? Because that's all he brings to society is a paycheck. No, we need men at home. We need fathers parenting their children. Get them at home from the very beginning, and it changes the dynamic. Okay, where can people find me? I just got chills because I get so fired up. Don't ever get caught talking about this with me, because I will back you into a corner and talk your ear off. I'm so sorry.
Let's go.
I'm so sorry.
Well, you're also on my freaking podcast, which is the whole goal. Back me into a corner and talk.
Okay, I'm on Instagram at Paula Faris, and Faris is spelled with one R, just like
R.
Paris with yes.
Oh, with an F. Okay.
But with an F. And so CARRY Media is the company that I formed to help carry the burdens of mothers. We have load lessening content. You can find all of that on carrymedia.com. And that's where you can sign up for our weekly newsletter, which is an incredible load lessening resource for working moms. Our community is growing. Again, it's a free resource called the Carry All. But yeah, reach out to me. I love to hear. I just like, at the end of the day, this is about supporting families. That's what it's about. It's about increasing. It's about supporting families, mothers, fathers, children. That's if we're going to be about families and say we support families, then let's do it. And I'm committed to that. So
you are. This was. I actually, I mean, I knew I was going to live our conversation, but I literally want to go freaking bust down the wall and fight. Oh, what's happening? Yes.
And my book, you don't have to carry it all.
Yes,
ditch the mom guilt and find a better way forward.
Let's go. Don't forget the book.
This is like, I've heard from so many moms. They're like, I feel seen. I feel heard.
Yeah.
This is the book we've been waiting for. It's really a rallying cry for motherhood and for working moms. So like it is your tool belt. It is your better way forward to help you navigate working and momming. And it is your ammunition.
Yeah.
Okay. When you're trying to have these uncomfortable conversations, it is.
Yeah.
Oh, hi. Do I have a child? I have a child barging in.
I love it.
Hi, honey. You want to come here and say hi to Carlos real quick in the audience?
Perfect way for this podcast to end. Let's
hold on. This is Landon. I'm going to put his headphone in. Landon, tell Carlos how. Oh, say hi.
Hi.
What's up, Landon?
Can you hear him?
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Say, am I a good mom or am I a bad mom? You can be honest.
Yeah. Tell us. Oh, that's so sweet, Landon.
Landon's 9. Okay, say bye to Carlos.
Bye.
Hey, tell Carlos. Say. You're a good dad. Say it loud.
What?
Well, tell him that.
You're a good dad.
You're a good
Thanks,
dad.
Landon.
He said.
This is a great. Landon's like, why would I say that to Carlos if I've never seen him parent before? What if he's a horrible father?
Is he even a dad? We don't know.
Is he even a dad? We don't know.
My word. He's
Paula,
so cute.
thanks for being on. This has been amazing.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it, Carlos.